In Acts chapter 5, we have one of the more humorous, interesting, we have a story in Acts chapter 5 on integrity and the impact. And maybe one of the more humorous, sad, or even a great warning for all of us. In Acts chapter 5, the setting of this is Acts chapter 2, the early churches. We're talking in Acts chapter 2, verse 42 through 46. In other places, it talks about how they sold things, they lived together, they shared things, they gave to those in the church who had need. And then we know of the story of Barnabas, the encourager, who sold a parcel of land, and he gave all the money to the church for use in ministry, however it was needed. This was not an expected thing where not everyone sold everything all the time and gave all of the proceeds to the church, but they did give generously. Well, in this instance, Barnabas gave everything that from this parcel of land he sold. Barnabas did not seek attention. He didn't do this for attention, and he didn't do it for anyone to know about it. He did it because he's Barnabas the encourager, led by the Holy Spirit, a great man of God. Well, a couple, Ananias and Sapphira, they sell some land. And they go and tell the church that they gave all the money to the church that they sold it for. And they're basically said, no, did you really? You didn't really. And so they're going on back and forth, back and forth. First, it's not true. They didn't give all the money that they sold the land for, because they gave a good portion of money probably to the church, if you will, but they were telling people they gave it all. And their questions were, did you really sell the land for this much? So it's not true, they lie. And secondly, they're violating what Jesus said in Matthew chapter 6. Give in a way that your right hand does not know what your left hand is doing. Give the way that Barnabas gave. Barnabas gave in a way that he wasn't seeking attention. He didn't do it. No buildings were named after Barnabas because he gave money. And so they keep on and on and on with him. And then the husband says, yes, we did. Well, he drops dead. And in my image, in my way, you're reading it as I've read it for a while. I get the image of they're toting him out the back door. And as soon as the back door shuts, the wife walks in, espousing the same thing. And she drops dead. Now they give her chances. If you read Acts chapter 5, they give her a chance like, hey, come on, tell the truth. And continue in their arrogance and in their self-promotion and lying to the Holy Spirit, lying to God. And so Acts chapter 5 shows us that God is serious about purity in his church. Ananias and Sapphira lie to the Holy Spirit. And then in Acts chapter 5, the apostles were arrested again. And then they say, we must obey God rather than man. And the church walked in holiness, courage, and power. And then the results, they were put on trial. More souls are saved and lives are changed. And God honors the truth as it walks. God honors the church as it walks in truth. For me, Acts chapter 5, verse 29 is the centerpiece. Very similar to Acts 4. Peter replies, we must obey God rather than people. Obey God rather than people. To me, that's the crux of the church, and that's the crux of the book of Acts. A man named Gamaliel, as Peter and John are arrested and they're going to kill him, Gamaliel, a man numbered of the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Sanhedrin, he says, look, leave these guys alone. If these guys are not of God, they will scatter. Because they have uprisings and things happen. Like, we need to leave them alone because if they're not of God, then the people will find out, the people will take care of it. We don't need to do this. But if they are of God and we kill them, then we've got a problem. So they did not kill the apostles. They had them flogged, though. We could beat them with an inch of our life. Well, let's not kill them. In verse 42, at the end of the end, it says, every day in the temple and the homes, they continued to preach Jesus the Messiah. Everywhere they went, even though they were flogged, even though they were threatened with death, everywhere they went. You see in Acts chapter 4, they prayed for boldness. Now they're being flogged, threatened with their life, and they continue to preach with boldness. Peter said, I will not stop even if you kill me. Remember, Peter has seen the resurrection of Christ, the faith in God to know that when this life ends, God will resurrect me. And one day, Jesus will return and he will resurrect me physically, not just spiritually. So this is Peter who one night said 3 times, I don't know him, I don't know him, and he cursed, I don't know this man. Something changed. What was it? Jesus the Messiah, the prayer of Acts 4 were answered, the prayer for boldness and the power of the Holy Spirit. Again, Acts 5:29, Peter, the apostles replied, we must obey God rather than people. Let's have an impact on the world for Christ today.